Thanks for listening and subscribing to the Clive Barker podcast. In this episode, number 237, I get into Clive Barker news, including a Hellraiser Pinhead figure, comic reprints, and Occupy Midian. Arrow has a release date for the Nightbreed limited edition. Hi, this is Ryan, and again, this is episode 237. This is a news episode. Normally, Jose would be with me, and but he had a migraine, so we put this off as long as we could, but unfortunately, his migraine is not going away, so I will be doing this on my own. I used to have a podcast on my own for my real estate business, and it was weird. I could never get past like about a half an hour because I didn't have anybody to talk to. But now it's just you guys and me. So I've had a migraine before, only one time. I used to wonder what was the difference between a migraine and like a sinus headache until I got one, and it was horrible. I'm sure you guys all probably know what they're like, but for me, I got nauseous and I was seeing stars, and Jose says he can't even look at a computer screen right now, so hopefully he feels better soon. So, news from the Reef. First off, there is a NECA Pinhead figure that was revealed at San Diego Comic-Con. So let's pull that up here really quick. It's a 7-inch scale figure. It's called Ultimate Pinhead, and it's got Pinhead, with his arms, his elbows kind of out to the side, and he's holding the puzzle box with one hand under and one hand over. So that's a cool looking figure, and it has two heads. It looks like there's one with a kind of a bored looking face, and then there's one with like an angry face, like the one you see on the Hellraiser poster. The Hellraiser 1 and Hellraiser 3 poster where he's making that kind of growling face. So anyway, this is cool news. It's set to ship in October 2019, so just in time for Halloween. So really looking forward to that. NECA does a great work on figures, and they're usually not very expensive. IDW do you remember a while ago we reported that they had put together an omnibus of Clive Barker comics, and I believe what came of that, and if Jose was here, he'd probably correct me if I was wrong, but I believe that had The Great and Secret Show, The Thief of Always, and Seduth. So this year, now they're doing a reprint of The Great and Secret Show comics. Hopefully it's bigger than that omnibus, because the omnibus, from my memory, had really small print. But now there's a reprint of The Great and Secret Show comic, collected book, and it also they're putting in Seduth also as a bonus material. So Seduth is kind of strange. I think that one you should, if you don't own it, you should own that separately, because it comes with 3D glasses and it's got special 3D printed pages. And so it had a little bit of that gimmick to it. So, I don't know. I understand it was kind of a one-shot thing, and they don't like to, and so they kind of throw it in as a bonus. But because of the 3D stuff, probably it's better to own this individual comic for that. But still, having The Great and Secret Show all in one volume, hopefully bigger print than that old omnibus, will be awesome. Boom Studios is re-releasing Next Testament. So that is pretty awesome. Next Testament, written by Mark Miller and Clive Barker, with art by Jaime Yang. It's collected in one complete volume. And I think before it was collected in like 4 issues per or something like that. So this is much better to have it all in one. And that is going to, it's available for pre-order right now, and it will ship on August 28th, 2019. So if you missed out on Clive Barker's Next Testament, there was a comic book and a novel. And if you missed out on the comic, then you can get all 12, I think it was 12 issues, in one comic book. One big trade paperback. So that's awesome. And Speaking of re-releases again, Arrow had individual, they had the Scarlet Box, but they also had individual releases of Hellraiser and Hellraiser 2. So those were out of stock, but now they're back again, and that you can get them on Diabolic DVD, and I believe, and Diabolic DVD is the North American version, but I believe they're also back in stock in their UK versions as well, and Europe. So awesome. Yeah, you can get those. They have the cool kind of painted covers of those individual releases if you missed out on the Scarlet Box. And Hellbound has a big old picture of Chenard on the cover. And speaking of Arrow re-releases, Nightbreed, Occupy Midian news. That's right. Nightbreed, the Nightbreed will come out with a director's cut and the theatrical cut. So I'm pulling that up now. This is coming from Arrow Films, and this is a UK release. It's it will be on sale for £22. And it's got 2 discs, and it's got 5.1 surround or 2.0 stereo. Let's see what extras they have. Holy cow, there's a lot of extras. So just to be clear, this has the director's cut, the 2014 director's cut that was on the Shout Factory release, and it has the theatrical cut. So that's awesome. The theatrical cut is pretty rare to get it in high definition. It was on a limited edition Shout Factory set, but not on the main one. Not on the double disc director's cut edition that was, not the non-numbered one doesn't have the theatrical cut in it. So good on them. I hope that a lot of these are available for people to watch. It has audio commentary on the director's cut by Clive Barker and Mark Miller. So that's the audio commentary that was on the Shout Factory release. The same introduction that was on the Shout Factory release by Clive Barker and Mark Allen Miller. A new video interview with critic Kat Ellinger, Walking the Line Between Heaven and Hell. It has Speaking Up for Monsters, a new video interview with critic Kim Newman. Tribes of the Moon, Making Nightbreed, an extensive documentary on the making of the film featuring Craig Sheffer, Doug Bradley, and Bobby, and many more. Making Monsters, a documentary on the film's creature design featuring special makeup designer Bob Keane. Fire Fights Stunts, a video interview with second unit director Andy Armstrong. It's got deleted scenes. Monster Prosthetics Masterclass, Cutting Compromise, a video interview with Mark Goldblatt. Well, that'll be interesting because, now that there's a re-edited version of it on here, I wonder what he has to say about it. The Painted Landscape, an exploration of the work concepts of artist Ralph McQuarrie. That would be pretty awesome. Matte painting tests, makeup tests, lost stop-motion footage, extended torture scene, rehearsal test, theatrical trailer, and TV spots. And image galleries, you can get the original screenplay as BD-ROM content, and a reversible sleeve. And a limited edition 40-page booklet featuring new writing on the film by author and critic Amy Simmons, and an in-depth history of the film's development, release, and rehabilitation by Mark Salisbury, co-author of Clive Barker's Nightbreed, The Making of the Film. So that's really interesting. It's not exactly the same as the Shout Factory release, is it? It's got a bunch of other extra stuff. It might be worth picking up even for people that aren't in the UK. So I'm interested in possibly getting this. I wish that they, maybe this is a little selfish of me, but I wish that they had gotten something exploring the Occupy Midian movement. Just because that was an important part of this movie getting released. But oh well, this is the goal, right? This was the goal of Occupy Midian, and we made it. I mean, first it was in North America, and now 5 years later, here we are. After the rights have been sorted out, 5 years later, here we are getting one in the UK. So good on them. The movie was made in England, and now it's finally getting released there. Okay, so other last thing, this is just kind of news about the Clive Barker podcast. We are on Pandora, so if you listen to stuff on Pandora, you can also listen to our podcast episodes there. So that's pretty exciting. We're excited about it. In addition to that, we have an iOS and an Android app. We're on, of course, Apple Podcasts. We're on Google Podcasts. We're on Stitcher. We're on Spotify, if you like Spotify better than Pandora. I know those are sort of like competing services. We're on TuneIn Radio, iHeart Radio, Pocket Casts, Google Play Music. Although I don't know how long we're going to be on Google Play Music, just because why do they have Google Podcasts and podcasts on Google Play Music? I think that they're probably going to stop doing it on Google Play Music. I don't know Google that well, but I'm sure that there's no reason for them to have it on both. Radio.com, Double Twist, and our podcast episodes go out to YouTube, which is always fun because we get people getting angry and commenting. Like if we have an episode about Abarat, they get mad because it's not an audio book of Abarat. They start listening and I don't want to hear you jerks talking about Abarat. I wanted to get a free audio book. So that's whatever. So that is cool. So if you remember last episode, speaking of that, we had an episode on Abarat 2, Days of Magic, Nights of War, and we had a contest. If you could send me a screenshot that proves that you are subscribed to Abarat, subscribed to the Clive Barker podcast, then your name was entered in a contest to win a trade paperback copy of Abarat Days of Magic, Nights of War, and I'll mail that out to you. So we do have a winner, and our winner was it said Mouse on the email. Alisa M. It's Alisa M. Ross, I think was in her email name. So if you hear this, get me I'll send you an email as well. But if you're listening to this, Alisa, congratulations, Alisa or Mouse, and we will be I'll be contacting you by email, and we'll be getting your details so I can mail you out the copy of Abarat Days of Magic, Nights of War. So I love doing contests like this. I hope we can keep doing more of these in the future. So coming soon, we are going to have we recorded this yesterday, so I'm excited about this. But for next week, we did it. We're doing another movie commentary, and now it's for the movie Psycho. And so you might be wondering, what does that got to do with Clive Barker? Well, a couple of things. First of all, it was covered in Clive Barker's A to Z of Horror in the A chapter, A for American Psychos, and that was a chapter all about Ed Gein and the films that were inspired by Ed Gein. And one film series was the Psycho series. So we watched the 1960 Alfred Hitchcock movie Psycho and did audio commentary with that movie. So and Jose joined me because he didn't have a migraine, and we had Marcus Williams come back too to also talk about Psycho. So it was a lot of fun, and we're looking forward to putting that out for you next week. We're also going to have more news episodes, and then we'll continue on with more audio commentaries, possibly Texas Chainsaw Massacre, or we may go through the whole Psycho series. Those aren't as easy to find. They're not exactly like available on Netflix or Amazon Prime. You know, the sequels to Psycho. I mean, the Psycho is a classic, but the sequels are kind of, you know, I don't know. I haven't seen them. I can't make judgments, but you know, let us know what you think. What would you like to hear us do? Do you want us to go on to do all of the Psycho sequels? I've also never seen Texas Chainsaw Massacre because I'm more of like a monster movies type of person. And so a movie with a crazy hick family murdering people with a chainsaw was not exactly my thing. So I've never seen Texas Chainsaw Massacre, and I know it's a classic horror movie. So that will be also probably coming up. All right. So yeah, if you have any ideas or questions for us or anything that you'd like to see us do, or, you know, let us know. I'm sorry that this episode is really short. It's just me. And, you know, sometimes Jose and I can kind of go off on tangents and stuff. And this would have been probably like 45 minutes if you were here. I can tell you right now, though, that I am getting ready. You know, the glamorous life of a podcaster. We are opening the doors for our garage sale in about 6 minutes. So I better get up and work on that. But yeah, so this podcast, having no beginning, will have no end. You can find the show notes for this episode and join the discussion over at www.clivebarkercast.com, where we have news, features, reviews, and links to all the ways you can connect with us. You can subscribe on Apple Podcasts and every other place you can find podcasts. Clive Barker Podcast, or BarkerCast, is an independent editorial, podcast, and news blog that is not affiliated with or under contract by Clive Barker or Seraphim Inc. This is a labor of love by the fans for the fans.
Thanks for listening.